So I was just kind of sat last night looking at OS maps, trying to figure out where to go today. I live in West Wales, so I've got quite a lot of options around me. And yeah, I just fancy coming up into the mountains, which obviously means coming up into Snowdonia. Cadair Idris is actually only an hour and 20 minutes away in the van, so it's not far at all for a day trip. I'm not putting any pressure on myself, more than anything. I just want to go for a nice walk and lay down some miles in the mountains, you know. But obviously I've got all my camera gear with me, and if the occasion calls for it, hopefully we'll get a really nice image. Half an hour left of the drive, so I'll see you there. Right, we've just pulled up then at Cadair Idris. First thing I'm doing is changing my hat because it's freezing. Just goes to show the difference driving an hour north can make, especially when you're out in the mountains. I'm also bringing my gloves because I've got a feeling it's going to get pretty cold once I get up on top of the mountains. It's not too windy, which is nice, but that could change. In my bag, I've got a waterproof coat, and I've got a down jacket, so I've got a warm layer and a dry layer. And yeah, it's just about making sure you're going to keep yourself safe when you're up in the mountains. I've got the maps downloaded to my phone as well as on my watch, so I shouldn't get lost, but we'll see. It's actually turned pretty cloudy, which is what the forecast said it would do, which is a rarity. Well, there we go. But yeah, that's what I was expecting. And actually, as I've been driving, there's been some beautiful patches of light just coming through the clouds. You see that all the time in North Wales. It's absolutely beautiful. It's proper typical of like the Welsh mountains. You get these patches of light just popping through the clouds. Really atmospheric and makes for some great photo opportunities. For that reason, I am actually, hang on, taking this camera, handheld, and it's just going to go on my little bag clip up there if I can get it on. Just so I've got a camera to hand. If any little fleeting moments of light pop onto the mountainside or anything, I can just grab my camera and grab those shots. I do have my main camera in my bag, which is going to be what I'll be using to capture the lake. And yeah, nothing more to say really. Let's get on the trail and see what we can find. Right, I've just left the car park and it's absolutely beautiful already. The sun has just come back out again and it's just painting the mountain with this beautiful light. We've got these streams as I cross this stone bridge. It's absolutely beautiful. You couldn't ask for more, you really couldn't. If it stays like this all day, I'll be a very happy photographer. Let's crack on then. Let's see if we can get some elevation and see what we can see. All right, I'm just making a start on the climb now. We've got these steps to begin with. This is the shortest path up, which is great, but for that reason, it means it's the steepest, which is fine, you know, I don't mind that at all. Anything that gets me up into the mountains is fine by me. Got this beautiful cascading water just running alongside me at the moment. So as I'm walking up, I'll keep my eyes open for some images. I think it's so easy to get caught up in that mindset of just getting to the top, you know? And actually, I've given myself plenty of time today. So we can take it nice and steady, keep an eye out for any images on the way, and just enjoy the journey up towards the top of this mountain. We've got this beautiful light coming and going, just lighting up different patches of the trees and the hillsides. So yeah, I'll be keeping my eyes on that and just getting any images that show themselves to me along the way. All right, I'll catch up with you in a bit. Well, I've been walking for about 15 minutes, maybe not even that long, and I've got to say the views are absolutely incredible. I'm really starting to gain some elevation now, and that's the best thing about these steep paths. Although they really take it out of you on the way up, you are rewarded quite quickly with some incredible views. If I just turn you around slightly so you can see, it's absolutely beautiful down in the valley, down where I started from. And yeah, I've not really seen much in the way of photography yet, but I don't mind too much. I'm really enjoying the walk. It is really, really pretty, and actually the conditions are lovely. Really light, gentle breeze, which is exactly what I need while I'm walking up this steep path. But yeah, I'll keep my eyes open as I carry on up towards Llyn Cau, which is going to be my first real stopping point where we'll try and get some images. All right, let's crack on. For a lot of this walk, we're actually facing north as we walk up the path, which is cool because it means that when you get these patches of light come through, they illuminate the path in front of you, leaving the mountains in the distance. It's a really dark, ominous colour. And yeah, it creates for some really nice contrast. We haven't really got the light at the moment, but if I spin you around, you can see how the path in front of me is just being kissed by that light. The mountains in the distance are in shadow. It looks really dramatic. It's probably my favourite kind of weather there, when you get these patches of light pop through the clouds. Absolutely beautiful. When you hit the mountain from the south, like I'm doing right now, you get a bit of a false summit, which I love. I love the anticipation of what you're going to see when you get over the crest of the hill. You can see behind me, it's looking pretty cloudy, pretty atmospheric, so I'll film as we're going over the top so you can enjoy it with me. If that view isn't worth getting an image of, then I don't know what is. I'm going to get this while the light's still hitting it. Just tried for a handheld panoramic. I don't know exactly how that's going to come out. That is the pitfall of having the 35 50mm equivalent lens on. You just can't quite get the vistas in, and when the light's hitting the mountains the way it is, I want all of that drama. So I went in for a couple of closer in shots, and then I've just tried for a handheld panoramic. Hopefully it'll come out when I try and stitch it together, but yeah, time will tell. Let's crack on. I've been asked before while I've been out and about on these walks with my camera stuck to my bag how I capture pictures quickly on the fly without stopping for too long, dialing in manual settings. And the way I do it is I leave my camera in aperture priority mode, and I set my minimum shutter speed to 250th of a second, and ISO is then set to auto. So the only thing I have to really decide is my aperture. Do I want that shallow depth of field, or do I want to stop down and get everything in nice sharp focus front to back? So really I'm just focusing on one dial, and then it's up to my eyes. Then I leave the histogram on the screen and I just have a look at the exposure. If it's too bright, I just use my exposure compensation to just knock it down a touch. Just keeping an eye on the histogram really, making sure nothing's clipping on the highlights. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So all I have to do is aim the camera, choose my aperture, and let the camera kind of handle the rest. And I find typically if I leave my exposure compensation to around -1 stops, then my highlights will never clip. And actually with modern cameras you can recover a lot of the shadow detail. And I'd rather slightly underexpose than overexpose, because once you've lost your sky, that's it. You can't recover the highlights, but you can recover the shadows. So always underexpose a little bit if you're unsure, especially when you're out in the mountains on days like today, when you get these little hot spots of light. It's always good to underexpose rather than overexpose, so none of those areas blow out on your highlights. And that's it really. And having it on a bag like this, on the this is the Peak Design clip. There's a few different ones you can get. This is the best one I've used, and I've used a few. It just means you've got real quick access to your camera. Boom! When those patches of light hit the hills, you just grab your camera, you're already halfway there on your settings, and you can 9 times out of 10 get those shots before the light disappears. So that's my approach when I'm out on walks like this. But if anyone has any better ideas, or anyone knows any other shortcuts or tips when you're trying to capture pictures on the fly, then please feel free to leave them in the comments so we can all hopefully learn a thing or two. And if you have learned something just now with regards to camera settings, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, because I always try and bring a little bit of knowledge that I've learned over the years. And yeah, it's all about sharing ideas where we can. So drop a comment, subscribe, and while you're there, you may as well like the video. Right, I believe I'm just coming up on Llyn Cau now, just over the top of this hill. So I'm going to put the camera away so we can really just experience that. Light's just starting to burn through. This is absolutely perfect. Let's get over there. I always want to keep these videos as real as I possibly can, and I'm just about to hit the lake. It's been such a beautiful walk up. I couldn't ask for a better day. It's such a beautiful place, beautiful conditions, not one little bit of litter until I stopped to get some drone footage. And if I can spin this thing around, I stopped to get some drone footage, and I've dropped my bag in this little crevice behind these rocks. And it wasn't until I was packing away and I looked between these rocks and I just saw all this litter that's been left here. So if you're the kind of person who comes out to places like this and leaves litter, even if you think you're tucking it out of the way where no one will see it, just I don't know how else to put it without saying, don't be a twat. There's enough of us that I'd say 95% of us are respectful when we go out walking in these beautiful places. And if we can just, between us, stay on top of the idiots, then yeah, we can keep these mountains beautiful for those of us who appreciate them to enjoy, and keep it safe for the wildlife. Anyway, let's go and get some pictures. Just looking down towards the edge of the water, you can see just how clear it is, and there's these beautiful rocks just kind of poking up through the surface of the water, with some scattered underneath. So I think actually if I can throw a polarizer on using those rocks down there as my foreground, looking straight up towards that peak there, surely that'll make for a classic landscape image, one that I'm sure has been shot 100 times before, 1,000 times before. But this is my first time at this lake, and I love to get these images, so let's see what we can do. The problem that I seem to have, and I don't know if my wife still watches these videos, hopefully she's got bored of them by now, but between us lot, I think it's time to invest in a wide angle lens. I've always got by without having one, simply because I just figured I could do like panoramic stitches and use like 24mm. You can shoot a panoramic either vertically or horizontally, stitch the images and get a very similar effect to what you do with a wide angle lens. I did a video explaining how I do it, and I'll link that somewhere. And yeah, I've always kind of got by doing that, but the problem then comes when you decide you want to do a long exposure and you're having to do like 7 or 8 long exposures in a row, sometimes of like 2 minutes long each, and you find yourself out for a very long time just working on one image, and it's not practical. But what I've done to combat my issue is to just come further away so that I can get everything that I want to in frame, and just using some different rocks down on the bank, to get the shot that I want. That's how I'm getting around it today, but yeah, between us lot, I think I'm gonna invest in a wide angle lens. So any recommendations for reasonably priced Sony wide angle lens. I'm talking like 16mm full frame. Drop it in the comments and I'll have a little look. Yeah, appreciate it. Right, I think I've landed on a shot. Is that stable? We'll find out. So I'm using the Llyn filter system. I've had it for years. I know a lot of people like the magnetic filters now, and I'm sure they're absolutely fantastic, but I already have this and it works perfectly. And actually, I really enjoy using graduated filters, which I'm probably going to do today. And you can't really do that with the magnetic filters. It just works differently. So I stick to my Llyn system. I've got the polarizer on the front, just getting rid of some of that glare on the water. There we go, just to bring out the detail in the rocks underneath. And yeah, the sky is pretty blown out right now, so I will definitely be dropping a soft edge graduated ND filter just to hold back that sky a bit. Right, the 10 stop is in. We're going to go for 30 seconds on the exposure. We don't need to go any longer than that. Any longer than that and I'll have to put the camera in bulb mode, which will mean getting a cable release out and doing all of that. And I really don't think that we need to go any longer than 30 seconds because the clouds are moving pretty quickly and the water will be nicely smoothed out with that length of shutter speed. So let's grab that shot now. So once again, 2-second timer to avoid any camera shake. Just like before, I haven't moved the composition at all, so we'll be able to compare the two images and we'll see which one we like the most. But yeah, 30 seconds, f11. I've just had to knock my ISO up to 200 because otherwise my shutter speed would have gone over 30 seconds. So that should balance out about right if my maths is correct. So let's see how we're looking. All right, that was a little bit dark, so I'm actually taking the second exposure now and I've just pushed my ISO up to 320, which will just be enough to give me that extra little boost in exposure. So we've not got too much shadow to lift, but also whilst retaining detail in the sky. So that's just finished up now and that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to throw them up side by side on the screen and yeah, you guys can let me know what you think is the best image from this location in the comments. Sadly, the light seems to have gone. The cloud has really started to roll in now. So I don't know if we'll see much more light for a while. We might get it later. But as I'm walking around, I've just noticed, whoa, this little runoff from the lake here. And there may possibly be a shot looking back up this water, back up towards that peak. So yeah, I'm gonna head down there. Probably gonna get wet feet in the process. Just see if that lines up at all for an image. I mean, if I can't get a shot from here, then I may as well just sell all my camera gear and give up, because this is a pretty easy win. It all lines up so perfectly. So I'll get my camera back out and we'll get this shot. We'll spend some time on this one and try and really dial things in. The clouds are moving, the light is changing. Let's get set up and hopefully we'll time things right here and we'll get a little break in the clouds. I wanted light and I've definitely got it, but my God, this wind, it's horrible. It's absolutely brutal, but I've got myself a composition and yeah, I just need to get some filters on. See if we can get this shot. You can probably see it on my face. We've got a nice bit of light just coming through now, so I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to chuck you down there and try and get this shot. Right, the light's gone again, but we are set up, ready to rock now. Camera is fully locked off, got the polarizer on. I've got all my settings dialed in, so once that light pops through again, I'm set up and I'm ready to go. Lovely little composition, just looking straight up the water, straight up into the mountains. And yeah, I'm just waiting for that light just to spill over through the clouds again, as I think it might just be starting to do now. Let's get this shot. All right, I've had something to eat, I've had a drink, I've had a little sit down, and I feel recharged and ready to go. So I think what I'm going to do, I haven't got time to go to the summit today, which actually is a real shame because the clouds are really starting to lift now. I'm just looking up towards the peaks, and yeah, pretty much cloud free. So probably would be a really good day to climb to the summit, but that wind is still howling. So we'll carry on a little bit further. We'll try and get some higher ground and see if we can get a downwards perspective on the lake while we're here. And then we'll just head back the way we came up and see if we can pick out a few images that we might have missed on the way up. Oh shit! Wow! Listen to that noise! Oh my god! Right, that's the first one that I've seen. I don't know how loud that comes through on the microphone, but oh my god! Yeah, man, I don't know what that was, like a F-16 or something like that. That's the only jet I know. Used to play Ace Combat on the PS1 when I was a kid. Looks like one of them. That was sick. Right, I think I found a shot. I was just heading down. I was kind of feeling defeated, to be honest. I didn't think I was going to find anything that kind of lined up as I was looking down into the valley, but this seems to work. I've got these rocks on the left-hand side, which is just bringing back a bit of balance because the mountain, on the right is so prominent coming down. It's such a strong feature of the image. It needs something strong on the other side to kind of balance it out, to create that kind of, you know, that V shape, if you will, that leads the eye down into the valley without it feeling too unbalanced. So that's kind of what I've got here. Looks okay on the back of the camera, so we'll see if we can grab a shot. Nothing special, handheld, probably wide out at 24mm. And yeah, it seems to line up quite nicely. The light at the moment is favourable. It's quite soft, so it's not too harsh. It's not hitting the rocks too hard because it's actually, the sun's over there and it would hit these rocks straight in the face and they'd be far too bright for the scene then. But right now, it's quite soft light. The cloud is just kind of masking the sun, so we'll just take a minute to get lined up, and I think that's quite a nice shot. Feels quite nice. I'm just being mindful not to get too much of the mountains on the right because they do stand way higher than these rocks here, so just paying attention to that, trying to frame it in a way that looks nice and balanced. Shooting it at f8, so nice and sharp front to back, and yeah, quite a nice little shot. So we're going to head back down now to the main path. Get on there and see what we can see on the way back down. I hate to say it, but as I'm walking back, and I really didn't want this to become the theme of the video, but look, all this mess that's just left behind these rocks. It's such a shame. And the worst thing about it is like, I go wild camping, I love wild camping, I'm so protective of it. But look at this, guy lines, tent pegs, I can see a gas canister down there. This has all quite clearly been left by people that are wild camping. And I just think that's a real shame because I love wild camping. I've been doing it for years, and places like this can be so beautiful when you spend the night, especially as a photographer, getting out for that last patch of light or being there early morning, ready for that early morning glow. It's the perfect way to experience that. It's unfair, you know. I'm trying to choose my words carefully. But it's just a shame. It's a real shame. I'll pick up what I can. And, you know, hopefully if this just reaches one person that is the kind of person who would leave their crap lying around on the floor, maybe you'll just think twice about it, you know? And I really don't want this to become the theme of this video, but yeah. Lost for words, really. Lost for words. I always try and find layers and depth in an image, and I was just walking down the path and I noticed there was a tree that was being hit by this direct light, and then actually very close to me there's another tree that's kind of arching over, and it just kind of framed this tree really nicely. It was just being hit by this sunlight, and it really stood out. It was really popping. And actually behind that tree you've got the mountains, and they're just kind of forming an arch over the top of the tree. The whole thing is just framed so nicely. I just happened to notice as I was walking, it just kind of lined itself up. And so we're getting another patch of light now. So I'm going to grab this shot. I'm going to shoot it at f2.8 so I can put real focus on that tree. And actually, I think if that mountain wasn't as high, or if that tree was sitting higher up and was above that kind of horizon line of the mountain, it wouldn't work at all as an image. And it's just one of those that's just lined up so nicely. So just needs to come up a little bit higher to make sure that tree is not going over the top of the mountain there, and also that none of the branches from the tree in the foreground are creeping into that tree. And that is a lovely little shot, and may possibly be the last image that I take from this afternoon. All right, I'm back on flat ground and I'm just coming back into the car park now. It's been an incredible day. I've really, really enjoyed myself, and hopefully got some nice images to remember it by as well. Oh, all right, back at the van. Thank you guys once again so much for coming along for the ride. Having a great day out in the mountains. It's been 4.5 hours that I've spent just really enjoying time in nature, which is just absolutely incredible. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Hopefully you've enjoyed the images. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, coffee time. See you on the next one.